Hello everyone and welcome back to another video of F1 2020 game ideas. Yes, I'm trying to push this series out to try and get it complete. I've only got 4 more videos of stuff I got listed, so push it out before Christmas and then we can start something else in the new year. But today's video is talking about R&D, and R&D has sort of stalled since 2017. R&D, of course, was really introduced in 2016 but it was thought that people could upgrade to a fully maxed out car in like 2 seasons. So they created this spider diagram in 2017, which works. I don't think works. They don't need to change anything like that. I would like to see the core competencies, because you got in 2017 you achieved achievements and you got extra pit stop time, but then that got reworked into the contract. But there was stuff there from that cross that could be re-added, and they could add other stuff in that's not part of the contract into the R&D. So that'd be quite something to see, nice to see, or even if it's just a list of achievements that they have on that cross. But yes, so let's have a look and see what we're going to be doing. Number 1 is better R&D changes. Now this is when Carl comes round, which, to be fair, is actually quite a nice thing, and says the rules are changing for next season. Now, again, he says, drivers, take a look at what we need. You don't actually see the other driver. Again, I've mentioned this in the earlier, and this is going to be number 2. Your teammate gets R&D, gets to choose R&D as well. They get to choose the resource points. They get to earn their own resource points from practice programs, and they can choose. Now, I'd like to see this reduced into the contract system. So if you were a first driver, they would get more R&D points, and you'd get less. So they had more to spend and then choose the upgrade path. That was the idea from there was a sort of line in the earlier Codemasters games that would say, "Oh, if you're the second driver, your teammate will be dictating the pace of the R&D." Again, there wasn't a lot of R&D, because the R&D was more what's the word I'm looking for? In those days, it was the team really just did it. You really didn't see any of the R&D at all. It didn't really make much an effect either, especially if you didn't run practice as well. Those days you could stick without not getting a message from Carl moaning at you. So yes, going back to the better R&D changes, what I think should happen with this is that as you know, there are different R&D graphs between all the 10 teams, and rather than spending a small amount of resource points on adjusting the car to the new strategy, I think that there should be a tab or button that takes you to next year's R&D. Again, another cool feature from 2016 that they never brought back was being able to stop spending R&D points and then save it in the pre-season. Again, if to make pre-season more of a thing, then that could be something to add into the game. But yes, so instead of say just basically re-upgrading everything, the R&D would change. So instead of having the diagram for Mercedes, you'd potentially have the diagram for Ferrari on their engine department, for example. But it would be a different map of upgrades. Maybe some of them could be, maybe some of the same upgrades aren't being touched. Maybe it's only a small change, then in which case that only that little section may needs to be changed in the tree. Stuff like that would actually be quite cool and make the game more immersive from season to season if there were to be R&D changes. But the next thing on the list, number 3, is of course to bring back Chris. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Chris was the R&D guy before F1 2018. He was in F1 2016 and F1 2017. And nowadays, when an R&D thing fails, you get a little message come up and say, or you get an email saying they failed. In F1 2017, they had a whole cutscene. You would go down to the little truck that's in the paddock and he would be there. They built that in F1 2017. It was the coolest thing ever, and they removed it for F1 2018. I was absolutely pissed off that they did that, because it was such a cool feature. So definitely bring that bit back. It adds more of the paddock. We get to see more of the paddock. Again, I'm going to go more into what the paddock should look like in another video. Should be, as I said, all these are going to be coming out. The last one, hopefully, close to Christmas Eve. But yes, ultimately, the thing is that I don't want to see an email saying that R&D has failed, R&D has passed. I want to see somebody see it. Now, yes, I know that the Chris potentially is cutscene, so maybe if the R&D passes, maybe it's just a little notification email. But then, of course, you sometimes give you reports. Those cutscenes, it's stuff like that makes the game more immersive, because a visual experience, for me, I have a visual memory, which means always a visual experience. I'm always going to remember having that experience and want to play a game more because I know that stuff is there, rather than just a little bit of text, which I'm not going to remember. I'm going to forget about in 5 minutes' time that it's actually happened. Well, maybe not 5 minutes if I recover it, but a couple of episodes down the line, then maybe I'm not going to be thinking about it. Whereas, yeah, it's stuff like that. Bringing back Chris, bringing back a more immersive stuff with that little hut, and maybe him finding you in the hospitality suite every now and again with reports and stuff like that. I know it doesn't have to be a lot of stuff, but it'd be quite cool to see him back, Chris back in the game, or at least, very least, get Carl to be more immersive. I don't mind Carl's existing cutscenes. To be fair, aren't that bad. It's the fact that there's so few of them. You hardly see him. You see him in the first race, and then after that, you pretty much don't see him again until you don't see him again until if there's an R&D change. If there's no R&D change in season 1, you don't see him again until maybe even season 2 if you're lucky. But stuff like that would be quite cool. So they need to work on that definitely in coming forwards in the game. The final thing I want to see with R&D, because to be honest, it's all right. Okay, yes, there's more stuff that can always be done, but in terms of getting F1 2020 out, I think that for now this will probably come up with some more stuff for R&D for 2021. But anyway, the last stuff, you expect the R&D person, the head of, presumably is the head engineer. He's in charge of developing the car. A bit like he's the car designer, chief, I don't know, he's head of everything. Above that, so you'd think that you'd stay with the team and not move when you move teams. I don't want to see Carl's face. when I move a team. Unless he moves, in which case you could say there could be a nice little press clipping that says Red Bull's head agronomist or whatever, chief engineer, whatever his job title is, moves to Renault, for example, to replace Chris, who moves to somewhere else, Haas, or elsewhere. Stuff like that. Again, generic storylines are definitely need to be more in there. But it's stuff like that. I don't want to see Carl when I move teams. I want to see somebody else. Okay, because this guy is not he is not our engineer. Jeff is our engineer. Yes, I'd love to be able to fire Jeff. Some of the other people that they've had along the years. I mean, why not? But going along that stuff I was saying in the other video, we need more choice. We need a more personal choice. But in this case, it's not our choice. It is the team's choice. So seeing another person around and about would be nice to see. Because it's a bit like with the in the journey in FIFA. When Alex Hunter moved teams, when he went on that loan spell in the first season, the assistant manager didn't go on the loan spell with Alex Hunter. He stayed at the parent club. There was somebody else there to take charge. Now, they regenerated those characters because the bloke went on to be Real Madrid assistant coach, but later in the storyline. But it doesn't matter if you regenerate those characters, as long as you have more than one person in the role, preferably more than two, then you can have more dynamic possibilities with career mode. So yes, that's going to be it for today's episode on R&D. I know there's probably a few things that can be added to the tree, like I think like tyre heating, or tyre warming, and other stuff. Obviously, the tree will probably need to be looked at in more detail to fit the 2021 regulations. But as I know, there's a little bit stuff like that can be added. But on a whole, the design on the tree and how the tree works is good. So yes, definitely just needs to take it to the next level, which they could do with the 4 things I mentioned in this video. And of course, most of them aren't even to do with the tree. 2 of them to do with Chris and Carl. So yes, hopefully you have enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if new to see more episodes of F1 2020 game news. As I say, that I'm pushing for a big push to get these all out before Christmas, purely because I'll be busy filming Final Fantasy for Christmas, trying to catch up, and preparation for the F1 mod. Hopefully we can get all Final Fantasy done by the end of January, move to F1 mod from February, and then maybe late. There's only 13 episodes, so we'll see. We'll have to try. I'll be definitely trialing F1 mod in January. Most delivery is already done anyway, so. But yes, that's going to be it. If you've got any R&D suggestions of your own, then please feel free to comment them below, and I will add them to the final episode of this series, which is like a general stuff that I haven't covered in any of the other episodes, and then I'll add any of your comments to that video. That's going to be it. Hopefully you have enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Take care, thank you for watching, enjoy your day, and goodbye.